These are giant silk moths from the United States of America. Don't you think they are impressive? This beauty is called the cherry silk moth or the Promethea silk moth. And today I'm going to show you how you can breed these beauties in captivity in my web series MothCycles. MothCycles is a special web series on my channel where we breed species together from egg to moth. Let's get started. This episode starts with little baby moths. Aren't they cute babies? Believe it or not, but these small little creatures are going to grow into large moths. And as you can see, they are feeding in groups. These creatures are a little social. And if you want to breed them yourself, feed them cherry leaf, willow, sweet gum, sassafras, tulip tree, sweet bay magnolia, or many other plants. While this species is not super difficult to breed, it is recommended that you have some experience with silk moths. The cherry silk moth is not exactly a beginner-friendly species either, as the caterpillars can get sick in captivity very fast if you make a mistake. The most important thing about this species is proper airflow and ventilation. Thankfully, I am experienced. That's why I raise them in plastic boxes, with the lid removed. Instead, I envelop the container in a netting. The netting will let through much airflow. Usually I raise the first instars of silk moths in plastic boxes, but this species is one exception. I put them in a ventilated enclosure right away. They hate still air in plastic boxes. Right, let's see how these little fools are doing. Oh yes. Bam 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 bam. Oh, beautiful result. Look at that. Yes, that's just great. Can you see it? Okay, oops. Well, we should put it upright. It's better to film like this. Look at here. Wow! And now their appearance has changed. This is instar number 2. It seems that now the caterpillars have assumed a more zebra-like appearance. If you like colorful or weird caterpillars, then this is the perfect species for you. I am not able to tell you how many we have in total, but I think it's about 20 individuals. Is that a good guess? I'm not a big fan of counting my livestock, I know, because it adds a lot of stress, you know. If you count every individual, you're going to obsess about numbers, and I don't want that. It's about having fun. But this is looking good. This is looking good so far. I love how they look like little zebras together in a group. Hope we can continue this mission. The trick to rearing these species is to keep them dry, warm and with a lot of airflow. Make sure their cage is clean and their food is fresh. A lot of people prefer to raise these species by placing their enclosure outdoors, in fact, but they seem to grow better outdoors than indoors. Personally, I keep mine indoors, but I just take them outdoors briefly to film them. When they reach the second instar, I take the caterpillars and give them a very large enclosure. In the enclosure is cut food, inside a water bottle, to keep the leaves fresh and hydrated. This species does like to have a lot of space. And before you know it, they change into the third instar. Life stage number 3 looks radically different. It is white, with bright yellow tubercules. It is truly quite charismatic. Have you ever raised this species before? If you did, then let me know in the comments what plants you used and what kind of setup. I love hearing other people's methods to raise these. In the third instar, the caterpillars become a little more solitary. It's not unusual to see how they wander through the vegetation sometimes all by themselves. But they're not completely solitary, however. Sometimes we can also observe them hanging out in little groups. Soon after that, they shed their skins once again to instar number 4. Instar number 4 looks like a bigger version of instar number 3, to be honest. But instead of yellow, their tubercules are now orange. Yeah, not a huge difference, I know, but a difference nonetheless. To an untrained eye, instar number 4 and 3 are difficult to tell apart. The biggest difference is mainly the size. But soon they are ready for their ultimate change. Are you ready to witness it? Prepare for it! Dun dun dun! Oh my god! This species is incredible. In instar number 5, the larvae become quite brightly colored with bright red tubercules. These are some of the most charismatic caterpillars I've ever reared. Just look at their bright colors. Incredible creatures, don't you think? And as you can see, they're growing quite well. This moth is a classic that every silkmoth enthusiast should breed in their lifetime. Since they're very polyphagous, the good news is that there is a high probability that you have some plants that they like to eat.
These are not even all of my caterpillars, it's only some of them, about half of them. And oh my god, look at those red protrusions they have. It's super beautiful, it's super amazing. I'm having the time of my life breeding this Callosamia Promethia. Wow. What an incredible species this is. Highly underrated. Super beautiful. Hey, are you American and are you watching this? And do you have this species in your area? I have a message for you. You are so privileged. You are so privileged to have this in the wild. It is incredible. I live in Europe. And we don't, where I live, have these epic species of silk moths. In Europe it's actually hard to get these. But wow! Oh my gosh, they are so beautiful. If any American moth trappers are watching this, if you ever catch female Callosamia, I'm very interested in buying the eggs from you. I can raise them here in Europe to make videos with for my YouTube. And I'm very much interested in the 2 other species of Callosamia that exist. Not Promethea, With Angulifera and Securifera. I have not bred them yet, but I will. These are so beautiful. Look at this. This is not even all my caterpillars. Because here we have some of the food plant. And here if we look at some of the leaf. If we try really hard. For example. Oops. Here you can see there's more caterpillars. Can you see it? But I don't want to disturb all of them just to make one small video. Here's one more. So there's at least going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would be happy to have about 15 cocoons, to be honest. Wow, so beautiful. Really beautiful.
So do you want to be a breeder of the Prometheus moth, just like me, the Callosamia Promethea? Well, the good news is if you are in America, depending where you live, this species can be really common. And if you know how to look for caterpillars or cocoons, or maybe even a female who will lay many eggs for you, then it's easy for you to experiment a little with these fellas and breed some of them yourself. In my opinion, they're a bit tricky to raise in captivity though. When they are well fed, the caterpillars will start spinning silk between the leaves. That means it's time to harvest the cocoons. When harvesting the cocoons of this moth, please do be mindful if you can. They are well hidden between the leaves of their host plant, and if you are not careful, you can risk throwing them away by accident. Don't let this happen. And open the leaves carefully to inspect them for cocoons. And that's it, guys. We are about to harvest the last few cocoons that are in here. That's right, there's no more caterpillars, but I know the cocoons are in here. You have to look really close. Here is one cocoon. You can see this? Between my fingers, this leaf. There's a cocoon inside. It's difficult to pick this off. Let's take a look. Yeah. Wow, it's actually strong. I can't pull it off. But inside this leaf here, wrapped up, is a cocoon for sure. Can I get it off? Ah, there it is. See? It's hard to see, but here is a cocoon. Let's put it in here. Yes, found another cocoon. There we go. See? Here in this leaf, if we open it up, you can see a nice little silk cocoon in here. See? That's what we want. That's what we're looking for. To prepare the cocoons for winter, store them dry inside a plastic box and then make sure that they are cold. Don't keep them warm indoors to protect them from the cold temperatures in winter. They actually need cold temperatures for their biological clock. It helps them understand the seasons. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud. I am a proud pet owner. Because here are some of the Callosamia Promethea moths that I have raised this year. They are the cocoons, to be pretty precise. Now, why am I proud of that? Because in my opinion, yeah, you're gonna laugh, but in my opinion, it's a little bit of a difficult species. Now, I know a lot of Americans are reading this and they're gonna laugh and they're like, Bart thinks they are difficult? Well, yeah, I'm not here to save face and pretend I am the best breeder in the world. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This is a species I struggle with sometimes. I tried to raise them sometimes before. One time all of them died because of a virus. Another time I ended up with like 3 cocoons out of 50 eggs, which is a bad result. They seem to be sensitive to diseases. So therefore I am proud to end up with a nice batch of cocoons. So if you have any tips and tricks for me, write them in the comments. So don't forget that I live in Europe. My climate is different from yours. If you live in the native range of this species, it's probably gonna be way easier for you than for me. Because my country basically has an Atlantic maritime climate. So, which is pretty different from the continental climate these guys are often found in. It's a bit more humid, a bit more mellow. Colder summers, but also warmer winters. Lots of humidity. It's sometimes it's difficult to raise species from a continental climate in my Dutch maritime climate. So it's pretty cool. I like the cocoons. Now, what's funny is these Callosamia cocoons. They typically hang by this string of silk in which they are often attached to the host plant. And those and Americans who are watching this, who have this insect in the wild around their house, there's a chance some are watching this. It's funny because in winter you can see them hatching like this by the branches of the trees. See? Pretty cool. Now, did I do a good job at raising them? Well, we do have a lot of cocoons. But one thing I do notice is some of them are small. Oh great, there's a jet passing by. Thanks for the sound pollution. Let's wait until it has passed. Yeah. So let me prepare an example. Ah, there it is. Here you see. I do have some decently sized cocoons, can you see them? But I also raised some really small ones. Here we have a dwarfy. Just compare the size. This is all the Callosamia Promethea. This is a normal sized cocoon, or maybe you could even say a big one. But then we also have this pathetically small one here. And some of the cocoons I raised are pretty small. For example, this one is a pretty small one. It's probably going to be a very small individual. Thankfully I have some that are more normal size, so not all my animals are dwarfs. But still, it would have been better if they were a slightly little bit bigger. But hey, I don't complain. This is a species I wanted to raise for a long time. I finally have the life cycle here on camera. Typically the species has most of the time one brood. That means the cocoons hibernate. I'm here in my garden. It's a humble 30.1 degrees Celsius, which is a bit chilly. It's November, autumn is coming. And most of the time these moths, they hatch the consecutive spring after hibernating. They need a cold winter most of the time. I'm saying most of the time because this species can have a second brood in the wild, which is often triggered by high temperatures, and then the insects think, it's a very warm year, maybe we can still manage another generation before winter comes, and some of them manage. They also have what is called a bimodal emergence pattern. That means that most of them hibernate, while a small percentage of them will not hibernate. This is also genetic and environmental. So genetic circumstances can also, that are inheritable, can trigger them to produce second generations, while other individuals are genetically more prone to hibernate. While also following the environmental cues, which vary from year to year. I know it gets complicated. Insects aren't easy. So to overwinter them, I will add some thermostatic paper. Believe it or not, this helps keep them warm. I know it's not much, but they don't need much. They can handle the cold pretty well. I mean, these dudes are found up to Canada, where it gets pretty cold in winter. There you go. And this is it. I just placed them in my garden like this. I forget about them until next spring. And then I warm them up. That's how I do it. So the hibernation begins. This is Bart and welcome to my garden shed. If you want to overwinter cocoons, you need a cool space, a cool and protected space. This can be a refrigerator, this can be your basement, this can be a wine cooler, this can be your garden shed outdoors. Hell, if you want to, you can even hide them between the bushes in your garden, as long as they are a bit sheltered and protected from the direct cold of winter, but still outdoors. Now, here we have a plastic bin with garbage in it. What I do is I take my plastic boxes and I hide them here literally behind this plastic thing here. See that? This is outdoors, so they're gonna have all the outdoor, oops, my ass is sticking out, whatever, all the outdoor temperatures that they need. There you go. Wanna take a look here behind? Here, let's show you. Ta-ta-ra-ta-ra-ra-ta-ta. Yeah. Oops. Winter is a terrible time for a moth breeder. Most of my species hibernate and I usually don't have the plants to feed the species that do not hibernate. That's why I usually take a break from YouTube and breeding in winter. My YouTube channel and my hobby is very seasonal. Some people ask me, Bart, how do you overwinter your cocoons outside in your garden? Isn't it too cold out here? The answer is no, obviously not. These animals come all the way from Canada, where it can be minus 20 degrees Celsius. See? And I have them just outdoors in my garden, even in temperatures like this. See, here are the cocoons of the Callosamia Promethia, the Promethia Silkmoth. As you can see, they are fine, and I am confident that in spring they will be healthy moths. In fact, the colder, the better. It is low temperatures that suppress their metabolism, which decreases their energy signature in winter. So if it's cold, they don't use much energy. So, if you overwinter these moths, it's easier to put them too warm than too cold. Last but not least, I hope you guys appreciate the fact some of my videos take a year to produce. In videos like these, we see all the seasons. We see spring, we see summer, we see winter, we see autumn, we see all the seasons. Just know that I am working for you, busting my ass off, producing videos that take over a year just for a few thousand views. That is dedication, people. Hope you guys appreciate that fact. Let's wait for spring, for temperatures to get better. Wonderful. Can you hear that? Flowers. Birds. It is that time of the year, ladies and gentlemen. It is spring. I'm happy. Guess what that means? I'm going to take these guys indoor and warm them up. After sleeping for almost an entire year, I guess it's time to wake up the Calosamias. It's time to put them on room temperature, and now we must wait, perhaps 4 to 8 weeks time. And then the moths came out. Let me show you how beautiful they are. Now, Callosamia Promethea is just one of those species where the male and female looks completely different. Can you see it? The male is black, like completely dark black, which is quite beautiful. But the female, she has this rusty orange hue. And for somebody who doesn't know anything about silk moths, they even may appear to be a totally different species. What's interesting is we have to be careful because the male of this species are day flying. That's right, this is one of the silk moths that fly during the day, not during the night. And I can see he's already getting excited, shivering his wings. So I will put him back very fast or he can fly away. Sunlight is important for this species. Personally, I like to put the cage outdoors in spring, but make sure they cannot overheat. If the sun is warm enough, the males will become excited and start fluttering around. This is exactly what you want, and soon there will be an attempted mating with the female if all goes well. A mating is very easy to recognize. This is what it looks like, by the way. You'll notice the male dangling below the female. They're usually connected by attaching the tips of their abdomens together. After pairing, the male and female can stay mated until the sun goes down, but I've also seen males decoupling from the female in some occasions pretty fast. Interesting to note is that the females of this species are nocturnal, while males locate females during the day. The females become active at night and find good places to lay eggs, and the males fly during the day. If your moths refuse to pair for some reason, they can also be paired by hand rather easily in what is called the hand pairing technique. Wow, so beautiful, ladies and gentlemen, so beautiful. More moths are coming out every day, and it's just these black males. They look so great. The orange females. These moths are really great. Oops, this one has a little damage on its scales for some reason. I think it rubbed some of them off. Whoop! Don't worry, it just fell to the ground. So here I have the rest of them. Turns out some of the older moths are getting old. Let me pick up the one who is on the ground. Some people always worry about my insects escaping, but I'm actually very skilled. Insects very rarely escape behind the scenes because I know the temperature they need to fly, and I only film when it's too cold for them to fly. The Netherlands is a pretty temperate and cold country, so if I take the moths outdoors, it's simply too cold for them here to move very much. See? This one just dropped to the ground, but it doesn't go very far. It's impossible for them to escape because of the climate of the country where I live. So don't worry about anything escaping or the species in my videos becoming invasive or introduced to my area because I'm irresponsible and I let them fly. That doesn't happen. That simply does not happen. See, they're perfectly safe. There you go. Wow, isn't it simply a beautiful insect? You just got to love these Callosamia Promethea. So beautiful. Interestingly, my moths were getting harassed by predators. And in particular one bird that was stalking me to steal my moths. Yes, it's true. In spring one bird tried to eat my moths. In fact, one time he succeeded with another species while I was filming them. Let me show you the footage of this blooper of another species that actually got eaten by this rude bird while I was filming them. Guys, looking at these two moths makes me very happy. Why? These are a male and a female and they are pairing. That means they are going to lay a lot of eggs for me, and that is the beginning of a new video, a new life cycle of this species. What? What the hell just happened? Are you serious, dude? Oh my god. Yes, that actually happened and it was not staged. This smart little bird has learned that Bart Coppens is always carrying some delicious moths and tried everything to steal my insects when I was filming them. So he could feed them to his chicks in spring. Even my Callosamia moths were not safe, it seems. He is back and hungry for more. No food for you this time, you rude little bastard. They are in a protected cage. Leave my moths alone, please. These birds are so incredibly smart and relentlessly hungry. In all seriousness, although annoying, I respect wildlife, including this little birdie here, even if he wants to eat my moths. We can't blame a bird for eating insects. It's in their nature to do so, and as humans have only invaded their habitat. I hope it finds a juicy moth later, just not one of my pets, please. Cherry silkmoths don't live very long, and after mating and laying eggs, they pass away very quickly. Thankfully, they leave behind many eggs that can be collected in a plastic container. This is almost the end of the episode, I suppose, ladies and gentlemen, since the life cycle is completed. Please let me know in the comments what species you would love to see in the next episode. Ladies and gentlemen, I have an amazing announcement. The eggs of the cherry silkmoth Callosamia Promethea have hatched. That means the life cycle is successfully completed. From egg to moth, back to egg. And I am proud of that, because that means we have another iconic species down in my series MothCycles. And I'm going to keep going, I'm going to keep breeding until I film all the life cycles of all the coolest insects for you on YouTube. Don't believe me? Here you go. Oh, see all those babies here? Yes. That's right. These are the eggs of the cherry silkmoth Callosamia Promethea hatching. First instar babies. Some more of the eggs. Wow, 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 wow. Now, I guess it's time to feed them. Another tip for silkmoth breeders watching this. If you are breeding moths who can eat a lot of houseplants and it's difficult for you to make a choice, use the plant that you have used to breed the parents. If you raise cherry silk moths on prunus or cherry, give the babies cherry. If you raise cherry silk moths on sweet gum, give the babies sweet gum. I don't have any scientific paper to support this theory. But I do always have this feeling that silk moths adapt to the host plants they are feeding on for generations. And I do always have the feeling that you have better results breeding a species essentially by, well, using the plants that their parents were successfully growing on. So once again, here I have the sweet gum. If you pay attention to my YouTube videos, you'll see that sweet gum is one of the plants I use the most for breeding, together with privet and other plants like oak. But yeah, it is a good plant for American silk moths and also a lot of Asian silk moths. And here we go, as soon they should feed for generation number 2. Perfecto. I'm very happy. Callosamia promethea, the Promethea silk moth or the cherry silk moth. For sure it's a wonderful species to talk about on my channel and to breed in captivity. No doubt these iconic and large moths have gotten many people into the moth hobby. And today I will educate you about them, because obviously I'm the expert and you are not. Aha, just kidding. Or am I? Let's start. The cherry silk moth, Callosamia promethea, is found in the southern extremities of Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick in Canada and the eastern half of the United States, from latitudes of middle Maine to middle Florida. Please keep in mind this map depicts the states that the species is recorded in, but not their actual distribution within these states. So the map is a little bit broader around the edges than their actual distribution because it limits itself to individual state lines and not the actual lines where the population begins and ends. Despite that, I chose this map on purpose because I found it more interesting to show my viewers a visual representation of which states they are simply present in. If you're from the western half of the United States though, this is bad news considering they only live in the eastern half. The caterpillars of this species do seem to have a broad taste compared to the average silk moth. There's a long list of plants that they can potentially eat. Liquid amber or sweet gum, prunus or cherry, diospyros or persimmon, fraxinus or ash tree, malus or apple, ligustrum or privet, betula or birch, rhododendron, salix or willow, syringa or lilac, tilia or lime tree, populus or poplar tree, pyrus or pear, sassafras, laurus or laurel, corylus or hazel, cinnamomum or camphor, berberis or barberry, acer or maple, lindera or spicebush, and many other plants. Despite the long list of plants they can eat, here is a selection of plants that are their favorites and that they like the most in my opinion. Black cherry, tulip tree, sweet gum and spicebush are probably the favorite plants of this species. That being said, their preferences do seem to vary a bit regionally. The cocoons of this moth can hibernate, and the pupal stage is when the moth spends the winter. Interestingly, their hibernation habits are determined by their environment. In the southern half of its range, Promethea is bivoltine, with winter diapause stock emerging from March to May, with the second brood emerging in August. In the north, the species appears to have a single brood per year and is univoltine, but more interestingly, diapause stock often appear to be exhibiting an eclosion peak about 3 weeks before a second peak. So instead of one large, well-synchronized period of emergence, a small part of the moths hatch 3 weeks later before their brothers and sisters, creating 2 peaks of activity instead of one from a single generation. In fact, sometimes one generation of moths can hatch so far apart they seem almost double-brooded in the wild, but it's just one brood with a divided emergence. The males of this species are day-flying, often choosing to fly 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, sometimes until sunset. While most saturnid moths are strictly nocturnal, some exceptions like these exist. Interesting to note is that there is not just 1 but 3 species of Callosamia that are found on the American continent. Callosamia securifera, Promethea and Angulifera. Their common names are sweet-based silk moth, Promethea silk moth, tulip tree silk moth. From left to right, I will briefly tell you about something about them and how to tell them apart. On the left, we have Callosamia securifera, which lives in coastal swamps and moist areas in pine woods, from Virginia south to the Florida Panhandle and west through Mississippi and in Louisiana. Both males and females of this species have an orange tone, with females being light orange and males being more dark brown to grayish orange. It is also known as the sweet bay silk moth because Magnolia virgiana or sweet bay magnolia is one of their preferred host plants. They eat way less species of plants than the Promethea silk moths and are usually just found on tulip tree or sweet bay magnolia or southern magnolia and more rarely on anything else. The sweet bay silk moth is mainly found within 50 miles of the coast from extreme southern Virginia to southeastern Louisiana, but includes most of Florida and extends inland up to some riparian corridors. Some differences are that the Promethea moth has a noticeably darker underside of its hind wings inside the postmarginal line, and the tulip tree silk moth's postmarginal line is edged with white on the outer edge. The tulip tree silk moth usually has larger triangular spots on the wings, especially when comparing the hind wings. In the middle, we have the Promethea silk moth or the cherry silk moth, the species this episode was about thus far. Their taste in food plant is the most varied of any of these species, including a broad range of plants such as spicebush, sweet gum, sassafras, tulip tree, sweet bay, white ash, and lilac, and many others. Extremely widespread from the eastern United States to the Great Plains, and main west through southern Quebec and Wisconsin to Minnesota, south to the Florida Panhandle, the Gulf Coast, and East Texas. Last but not least, Callosamia angulifera or the tulip tree silk moth, Last but not least, Callosamia angulifera or the tulip tree silk moth ranges in the deciduous woodlands from Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut west through central New York, southern Ontario, and southern Michigan to central Illinois, south to the Florida Panhandle and Mississippi, wherever Liriodendron tulipifera or tulip tree is present. Liriodendron tulipifera or tulip tree is their main host plant, although they've also been reported on sassafras and magnolia. So what are the main differences between them? Well, apart from the different tastes in food plant I just mentioned, they all mate at different times of the day. Securifera mates around noon, Promethea mates in the late afternoon, and Angulifera mates only after dark. They are kept separate by different mating times and different food plant preferences. While females of each species do look similar, only the Promethea have the typical black males, while Angulifera and Securifera have rusty orange males. Securifera females are unique because they are a very light shade of orange. They also have different geographical distributions, although they can overlap in some places. Thanks for watching. This was a short but important rundown on the species. I hope you learned something more today. Even $1 helps. Support my show for as little as $1. It really does add up. This channel supports moth conservation. I'm one of the few independent working entomologists on the internet, and your donations support my content. I use the donations I raise online to educate people about insects and their conservation, scientific research projects, breeding equipment, and more. If you like my show, then please consider helping me out. If my channel ever reaches the amount of $1,000 a month on Patreon, which will probably never happen, but you never know, I will do a world tour. I will visit many countries and film unique insects and wildlife there. I don't know if this will ever happen, but if it does, expect to see videos of the world's rarest and coolest insects worldwide. YouTube has demonetized my channel, so it's impossible for me to do this, unless we do it together with my fans. All the funds I use will be raised for educational content and research. Bart Coppens in America, Bart Coppens in Canada, Bart Coppens in France, in Brazil or the UK. It could happen someday. The funds I raise online support the conservation of insects through my channel. I raise a lot of awareness for the rare or endangered species and their conservation status online. Bye bye! Yo yo yo, gangster rap, West Side, this is Bart Coppens. Yo, Moth Daddy. That's right, your favorite online entomologist and insect gangsta. Oh yes. And I'm here to talk about something very boring. Money. Ooh. First, let's get this stuff off, because you can't take me seriously if I have that on. But let's talk about finances. Let me introduce you to me first. My name is Bart Coppens and I am an online entomologist. I make entertaining videos about butterflies and moths and the environment. I'm a little bit of an environmentalist who likes to educate people about the biology of insects and their importance to the environment and their life cycles. While I have a specialism in butterflies and moths, sometimes I show other insects as well, or just unrelated content, anything that has to do with nature and a little bit of my life. My channel is very popular and I'm happy for that. I'm proud of it. I think I am doing a lot of, public awareness for butterflies and moths and their conservation. I'm also an amateur researcher. I have published new scientific information about butterflies and moths. And I enjoy reading them. I'm also a little bit of an entertainer who likes to make silly videos on the internet. And my point of making all these videos is I hope to get people interested in nature and the importance and complexity of these animals. I believe this is really important in a world where insects are declining and going extinct every day. And here I have my next project. This is a moth that mimics a wasp. Can you see it? It's a very fascinating species that I'm studying now. This will maybe be for a future video if I'm successful. It's a very unique species and I wish to document the life cycle of this beautiful and unique insect. And by doing that, hopefully we will grow the movement, we will grow the amount of people who care about nature, who want to conserve nature and protect it, and realize how cool and fun it is. But here's the thing, let's cut to the chase. My YouTube channel is demonetized. YouTube has taken away my monetization permanently. Whenever I make a video and upload it online, I don't make a single dollar, not a single penny. Now, I am not here on YouTube to become rich and wealthy and famous, but this is a massive problem for me. Because I don't know if you noticed, but the production time and effort for these videos is incredibly long. Did you see all the seasons we had in this video? I think last year we started this video and then it was spring and summer, definitely when we started this video. It was like June, July, and at some point we had to hibernate the cocoons. At that moment there was autumn, there was winter. In fact, there was a very long and cold winter because the cocoons of this species need to hibernate. If you don't hibernate them, they will not hatch the consecutive spring. And so we waited for spring. So this little video you watched today was basically in production for a year. That's right, I'm crazy, I'm insane. I spend my time making YouTube videos that take years to produce. Film life cycles of insects that take a year or more to complete. For you. For free. And the thing I'm trying to get across is if you like my content, if you enjoy it, consider donating or crowdfunding. It really, really helps. Every dollar adds up. There are several ways you can do it. Patreon, you have Ko-Fi, you have PayPal. The links are in the description. This channel is 100% and completely crowdfunded. Without the financial support of my viewers and my followers, this video would not be there. I simply do not have the time and resources to make insanely long moth videos that take over a year to produce. For free! I know that sucks and I wish I didn't work that way. The good news about crowdfunding is when people support my channel, others can watch it for free. Because not everybody can afford, or not everybody is willing and able to donate. But the people who can afford it, keep the content free for the people who cannot afford it. That's a win-win situation in a world where I think we need a lot more education when it comes to insects and their habits, their life cycles. There simply is no other YouTube channel who does the things that I do on this level. There is none. I am the only one. So if you care about insects, if you care about nature, it's a very good idea to support me. You can support me for as little as $1. It adds up, people, it really does. And in return, you will support the work of an independently working entomologist who spreads awareness about the environment, who spreads awareness about nature, who does research, his own research project, his own YouTube entertainment, social media outreach. I think it's a good idea. Consider doing that. If I'm your favorite content creator and you like my channel, do it. Consider doing it. And in return you get rewards. Some of my patrons, for example, can submit questions, which I answer live in a YouTube video, and more stuff behind the scenes. Sometimes we have special events where patrons can send me. One time they even interviewed my mother. We have silly and cool stuff like that. If you want to be part of that, part of the movement, the rogue entomologist conservation gang, consider it, people, consider it. Last but not least, I want to say that even if you do not donate, even if you are watching for free because you are not able to afford it or not willing to, you are no less of a viewer. I appreciate everybody who watches my videos, who shares them with others, who likes them, those people help my channel grow too. The people who comment on my video, who ask me questions, who interact with me. All of you make my channel great together. It is together, we are in this together. It is one movement of people supporting me, supporting insects, supporting nature. Thank you guys. I will be back very soon with new fresh videos, with new life cycles. The bigger this show grows, the more budget I have, the more spectacular the species are going to be that I can show you. That really depends on my budget. Maybe at some point we can travel. A big dream of me is to travel the world and document rare or threatened species and tell a story about them on YouTube. And maybe that's going to happen someday, or maybe not. It all depends on how successful me and my content are going to be. I take entertainment and I turn it into awareness and conservation. That's what I want to do. See you guys until next time. Let's pay the credits and show the names of all the wonderful patrons who I appreciate, who make my content possible.